Think about the moments we spent. I just want.
It's not easy until you have to do it looks easy until you have to do it, because a lot of emotions run in your mind. There's a lot of there's just a lot, and there's beauty, and there's the art of silencing your mind, and going for it. So I've been so well invested in self mastery, all my life. Not all my life, I'm lying now, but ever since my awakening, you know I've just been working so hard on myself, because that's what comes with the awakening, right? You question it all. You question every single thing. Why does the sun shine the way it does? Why do we exist? Who am I is the very question that really gets you into this space where you unpack, your programming. Why do I like certain colors? Why do I do the things that I do? Why do certain things make me or intimidate me? All of those things. It's like it's a journey, and I have begun doing the work. I have begun, and it's so fulfilling when you get to understand why certain things trigger you. You know, why am I so closed off around people? Why do I feel a heavy presence when I'm around people? Why do I feel heavy on the shoulders? You know, it's part of getting to know yourself. And it's been a beautiful yet messy journey. There's always a bit of both. There's always a balance in everything. So it's really taking everything with a pinch of salt. So I thought, you know what? Today I'm just gonna record and I'm just gonna sit in front of this camera and I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna record something. Um, but it's been such an amazing journey, really. I've learned so much. And it's like the more I learn, the less that I know, the less I feel I know, because that's what knowledge does. It expands your awareness, your level of thinking, your perception widens every time you discover something or you learn something new, you know. Um, lately, I recently got a job. I think I'm about 3 to 4 months in the job. And it's funny when I look back, I literally thought, you know what, it's over. I don't see myself going back into the corporate because hey, it's been that long. The gap is it's too vivid. Who's gonna take me after 5 years of not working with no experience? Literally, and that's when I decided, you know what, I'm gonna actually start. I'm gonna open a little salon and Gideon Manala. I'm gonna try that out. And I started working for people, obviously with the purpose of understanding the business, understanding how to actually do the job. So often we think that um, doing someone's nails is like, oh, it's just about making things pretty, making the nails look pretty. There's a whole process to it. And when you are at that point in your life, you need to be humble enough to admit that, I don't know anything. Because when you do that, you're allowing yourself to learn something. When you humble yourself, you are allowing yourself to be taught something. You're making room for the new to flow in. So when I started, I knew zero about nails, and but the curiosity and the passion was there because for me, from an artist perspective, I thought, okay, so here's something that's gonna allow me to still express my creativity. The nail art, the design, the colors, all the palettes and everything. That's what I found interesting about um, uh, 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 doing nails, basically, being a nail tech. But I had to learn that it has to do with more, that there's more to it, than just making coloring nails and making them look pretty. Um, Application process. Aside from that, then there's also the ability to interact with people because there's a lot of people that come in and out, and you need to understand different personalities and you need to know. So basically, it's you need to have the ability to study your clients, to study people. I didn't know at the time that that was something that the universe wanted me to learn. Being someone that's been so introverted all my life, I had to. It was out of my comfort zone. I had to step outside of my shelf and put myself out there. A lot of times I think I'd be very judgmental in terms of like, what if someone that I used to go to school with comes in here with all their flashy stuff and a beautiful car parked outside and I have nothing to show for it for the many years of learning and studying in school. What am I going to say? It's going to be embarrassing. I think that was the main one. But I realized that something that I learned about myself is I'm very skilled when it comes to exaggerating things. I overthink everything. It's something that I'm also working on unlearning. But I overcame that fear. And regardless, I went ahead and I allowed myself to learn something new. And I put myself in a place where I'm deeply humbled. Having worked the 9 to 5 as a graphic designer, having worked with the rich and famous, in the sports department. I got to be a graphic designer there, and I was grateful for that. So having to transition from that to no job, nothing coming through, nothing working, that was the universe saying, girl, you need to study yourself. You're still at a point where you don't really know who you are. So how about we pause your life a little so you can, isolate, and then we can actually teach you a thing or two about who you are, because clearly you've forgotten. So I failed. Challenge accepted. But obviously at the time I didn't view it like that. When you're going through the thing, you're not aware that, hey, this is for my own good. The universe is really trying to teach me something here. So let me humble myself enough, and actually just feel through the emotions and just put myself out there, you know, and just be vulnerable. Maybe something different might come out of it. Seeing the reason why I got off social media, Facebook to be precise, was it was so toxic for me. It was so toxic because it forces you to be in a place of comparison in terms of the people that you used to go to school with. You see them posting there, they're having the time of their lives, they're way ahead of where you are. Even the people that you deemed as not so, I don't know, you know the less populous kids at school, people that you didn't really, yeah, see as important. Turns out that they're the ones that are now they are the ones that are getting it on. They are the ones that are actually having a blast out here. Their things are like soaring. So I had to just sit down and ask myself that, okay, cool, high school fame, fitting in, that did not work out for me. I was never a famous girl. I was never popular for anything. I was that girl who was trying to blend in. Really, I feel like my aim was to just remain invisible. I feel like for me, visibility and fame and being seen was sort of, I saw it as danger. I needed to blend in. And I understand that perception was rooted from a childhood trauma. It was rooted from the things that I had went through growing up, and it kind of created a fear of being seen. So I'm kind of getting a revelation as well as I speak about this, is that I've always been a chubby girl, always been a chubby, okay? And people would see me and they just exaggerate and be like, yo, Stola, yeah. And people would start laughing, and I'm like, but guys. So for me, being seen, that's how that then became a danger. And then growing up with that being a thing, I became self-conscious, and I was like, oh, so being seen is not a good thing. People see you and they criticize you. People see you and they mock you. That's where the fear, formulated. Makes sense now. So sitting in front of the camera can actually also be an opportunity for me to learn about myself. Okay, cool. That's something new that I've discovered there. Anyway, so this girl told herself that, you know what? Being seen is not a good thing. Being seen is an embarrassment. Being seen is, if anything, dangerous. So your goal right now is to be in survival mode and just blend in. Just pretend to not be seen, because being seen is dangerous. So now I understand why I choose to remain in indoors and remain an introvert. and turn down every opportunity that allows me to be outside of my house to interact with kids. Because for me, growing up being a chubby girl, being in social settings meant being humiliated. You're learning something, but I'm also learning something about myself here because this is new information coming through. Anyway, um, so this girl lived to be invisible. She lived to go by and not being seen. Her whole purpose was to do everything in silence without being noticed. That is why today she finds herself still struggling to be out there mingling with people. And what she doesn't know about herself is she actually is good with mingling with people, because every time she finds herself in a social setting, she is the center of she's at the center of the topics. She's conversating. She's, giving in, you know, good insights. Her perspectives are on point. Her opinions are on point. Yet there's this deep underlying problem that she hasn't come into terms with, which is she needs to heal her inner child. And until she's healed her inner child, then she can start attracting different situations that actually prove to her that she is worthy of being seen, that it's okay to be seen. The universe is then going to offer her opportunities to be seen because she no longer sees being seen as dangerous, as life threatening. Isn't it funny that we grow differently, yet we still feel like the 7-year old in our heads? We have grown, and some of us have become more beautiful. I can say that about myself. I can say that about most of the people that I grew up with. You know, girls are beautiful out there. They've grown beautifully. But she who stares back in the mirror doesn't see that, because her self concept is still flawed. She still needs to heal her inner child. For her to be able to see her true version, she needs to um, heal that part of herself that feels less worthy. Heal that part of herself that feels like, oh snap, I'm not worthy because someone decides to jump in. I'm not worthy because I'm like this and I'm like that. So, in my awakening experience, it's like giving it a call. Gazi, akwazi ukuvela la mangirecord. So, my awakening happened very intensely. I remember feeling suicidal. I remember having thoughts of, oh my gosh, what is the quickest way to just end my life? To unalive myself, What is the quickest, less painful thing? And I remember making that call in these toll-free numbers. I think it's like a depression helpline. I remember calling that lady. She's like, oh, well, how can I help you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling depressed. I'm going through 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. And then I remember her asking me what I want to do about that. And I remember answering her saying, you know what? I do acknowledge that it's my thought patterns, the thoughts that I choose to focus on, that are giving life to this depression. Basically, I'm choosing my depression. I'm choosing to experience depression because of the thoughts that I come here, Lazi. Because of the thoughts that I give. I give my the thoughts that I choose to pay attention to. It's all self-sabotage, really. And I gave her that answer, and she was so impressed. And she was like, "You see, you got it. You got it. That's it. Run with it." I remember hanging up and feeling like a fool and like, what the hell? Like, you know. And I remember the influence behind that answer was because I had read the book "You Can Heal Your Life" by Louise Hay, and that book aligned with me exactly when I needed to. It landed on my lap, literally. So during my depressive states or times, I'd find myself going through old stuff, and I was going through old stuff. Some of my sister's old things that she left when she moved out, and I came across the book "You Can Heal Your Life" by Louise Hay. And I remember the first chapter, it being about, not the first, but like, I remember a certain chapter that really forced me to do some shadow work, really forcing me to ask the questions that I didn't want. I remember being so angry really reading those questions, and I'm like, what does this have to do with me healing my life? Where is the connection? Why are we going backwards? I don't want to go backwards. I want to go forward. But I didn't understand at that time that it was essential for me to heal my old wounds, for me to create room for better opportunities for my life. But so I read that book for about a week or two, and then I gave up. I'm like, I'm not doing this. This is too painful. It's too painful. I'm not going back to that old childhood me who was 6 years old. Do you understand the trauma that she's been through? Do you understand the pain? I don't want to go back to that place. I have shut down that door, and I'm happy with it remaining closed. So parts of the healing was not comfortable at all. It was really painful. It was really painful. I remember giving up, and I'm like, you know what? I'm fine the way I am. I'll choose depression. And then there are times I'm like, actually, I need to do this. This book is really helping me to tap in. Yes, it's forcing me to go back to places where I don't want to go back to. But I feel like a part of me connected with it, and a part of me was like, girl, this is it. This is your answer. And so we went forward. Pambili, we went. So I did the self-work. And I still continue to do the self-work. It doesn't end, right? Every time something comes up, it's like you're so layered as a human being. It's so fascinating how one can actually hold on to past pains, and then when you relive that experience in your mind, you can almost feel that experience. You relive that experience, and it's frightening. But yeah, please be back for part 2. I will be continuing, and yeah, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm the one who's saying this now. Let's go. Don't forget to like this video and leave your comments down below. Yeah, and I'll catch up with you later, alligator. Do people still say that? I don't know. All right, bye.